Hi everyone, number one Marmaduke fan here. I have been loving the Twilight Princess manga so much. It's one of my favorites ever. I decided it's time for me to repurchase the classic Legend of Zelda manga. And they're doing this nice legendary edition that's, about a good I'd say maybe like inch or two larger than the older format. But I gave the old ones away to a family that were homeschooling little kids, right? Because I want kids to read comics. And when I gave it away, I kind of thought, boy, this is a perfect comic for kids. But are they gonna get that all the timeline, timey wibbly wobbly, timey wimey stuff? And then I noticed something on the back of this. It's not easy being a hero in the realm of Hyrule, but Link discovers that sometimes it's even tougher on those around him. He'll need the power of the Triforce to save his friends and family from threats posed by the mysterious Skull Kid and the treacherous Aghanim. I don't think the editors know that single link theory has been debunked since Ocarina of Time. Right, so one of the things I love about this manga is, of course, you could get into child timeline, adult timeline, alternate universe stuff with the Legend of Zelda franchise, because Nintendo cared about making great games. They didn't care about continuity and canon, I don't think. But what Akira Himekawa do is they play these games, they love these games, and they tell coherent, self-contained stories that really powerfully capture what's great about each game. The only kind of sad thing I have about their original 10 manga volumes is I feel like they were a little too abridged. Like they were forced to cram too much into a volume, but the result is these are really exciting, fast-moving, fun adventure books. And the first 10 are really great, all ages books, nothing inappropriate whatsoever, really. And then Twilight Princess is almost the perfect graduation from G to PG content. So really my love of the Twilight Princess series has made me reevaluate the whole manga franchise. And really this belongs in a really not top tier, plus it's one of the very, very few all ages friendly manga books. So but it's also top tier in its own right. All right, so Majora's Mask. Reading them out of order because Amazon's sending them to me out of order. That's okay, because Akira Himekawa, they tell nice, coherent stories. So almost the first entire chapter is in color, which is kind of nice. It's kind of nice to see the characters in color. It makes me a little sad that the rest of the book isn't in color, and they only do it for the first chapter of Majora's Mask. So that means that A Link to the Past doesn't get any nice little color pages to warm you up to the world. But that was a fun little start. Is it working? Okay, I was scared that I saw it going into focus, and I was scared it was stopping recording. Okay, so how do you adapt a video game, right? You can't have Link running around and solving all the puzzles and doing the fetch quests, right? You've got to play the video game, kind of pick up what the key themes are, and go from there. So some of the original things they add tend to be to try to bring you into the world of the game if you aren't familiar with the video games at all. Bring you into the world of the story, really. So all you really need to know about Link in Majora's Mask is that he's already been on an adventure. He's already defeated an evil wizard and saved the realm. So he has quite a bit of experience. He's old beyond his years because of his travels in time, where he grew old and then was made young again. So even though he's this short little kid, he has all of this experience, and so there's this whole cool little opening segment where he fights an adult warrior who respects him, and he kind of teaches a lesson in discipline to teenagers who are older than him but aren't as experienced as him. So there's that great setup, and then what happens to the hero? He gets shamed and defeated all over again. Even though this is a young man who already is a hero, he's kind of gone through his hero's journey, there's threats and there's magic in the world he doesn't understand yet. I mean, one of the key themes I like about Majora's Mask is it's a mysterious world. There are questions that just do not get answered either in this manga or in the video games, and I kind of like it that way. I don't really need to know if the bad guy was an alien. That kind of spoils it if I know the bad guy is an alien, because aliens seem scientific and they make sense. Five Nights at Freddy's is like this. When I saw Markiplier playing the first Five Nights at Freddy's game, I knew it was going to become a phenomenon because I realized he had tapped into this primally creepy thing about Chuck E. Cheese dolls. So it's sort of like discovering that clowns can be scary. If you're the first one to discover that, you tap into something primal that speaks to a lot of people. And then with each game, he got like more and more lore and more game theories. And he clearly didn't know where the heck he was going with the story, or he was coming up with all of these crazy conspiracy theories for Five Nights at Freddy's. And basically, all you need for Five Nights at Freddy's to work is scary, possessed animatronics at a haunted Chuck E. Cheese, right? That's such a simple idea. Game theory. Game theory also has a theory about Majora's Mask, and game theory is always a little ridiculous. Like, their theory is, what if Link died at the start of Majora's Mask? But I actually kind of like that potential theory, because death is a recurring theme throughout Majora's Mask, and almost every level or person Link interacts with in Majora's Mask is having to cope with death or loss in some way. So I also like that there are powers in the world other than Ganondorf. It's sort of like when Nintendo makes the first game, they play it really safe, like the hero saves the princess. And then when they say, okay, we got to make a second game and reuse all these assets we created, what will we do? Let's drop a moon on a different time world. Okay, let's go for it. Right? They always do something a little bit different or outside the box for the follow-up game, and Majora's Mask definitely benefits from that. So I like that Skull Kid attacks Link psychologically. I saw a great meme that was like, who was the first villain to attack Godzilla psychologically, right? He transforms Link into a little kid, and this kind of reinforces Link's problem, which is that he's actually quite mature for his age. He is a very capable young man, but people keep treating him like a little kid, and to his chagrin, he's transformed into this little Dooku scrub creature. Oh, I like this too. Majora's Mask, rough character illustration number 1. This is from before the release of the game, when I was still imagining what Majora Link should be like. Young Link with his experiences as an adult in Ocarina of Time. So, I love that they were like working on this even before the game came out. So, they do a nice way of setting up like the interesting thing about Majora's Mask is it has this time limit where the moon will crash into the earth if you're not fast enough, and you have to keep resetting time to get enough time to do everything. So they find kind of like a cool way of setting that up. I like that. Navi gets done. This is a good example of how they're adapting things. So Navi gets teased a lot by the video game fans, because in the video game, Navi's kind of annoying, and she says, hey, listen, right? And she's just there to remind you where you're supposed to go. But in the canon of the story, Navi's actually really important to Link. She's his first friend when he's kind of a lonely Kokiri kid. She's his guide. There's a way where the fairies kind of represent coming of age. So to him, befriending Navi is kind of his first step towards becoming a man. So when he loses Navi, it's obviously like a terrible thing for him, and he's lost like an important guidepost in his life. And that's completely the direction Akira Himekawa take. They don't really worry too much about sort of like the meta culture surrounding the video game. They're more interested about getting into the world that the game represents. I like the creepy mask salesman and how we like never really find out what his deal is. Like, it's just very clearly like, we need a villain, we got to reuse this character we had from the first game, let's make it the creepy mask salesman, because he's kind of got that creepy smile. And I just like that we never find out all the answers. Like it would kind of be a bummer if we found out, oh, he was a servant of Ganondorf, it was part of his plan the whole time. It's just, there's dangers and there's mysteries to the world that Link's probably never gonna find the answer to. I also noticed in this one, it's weird going back in time and seeing early work by a manga team. They have a lot of like really fun cartoony moments, and this is obviously a much younger like age group or target demographic, so they'll have like kind of funny cartoon, Western style cartoon animals, or Osamu Tezuka style animals that Link's got to save from the bad king. I love that some of the villains are just kind of different, like a crazy Zulu, and he says "don't" like Homer Simpson. There's a lot of like fun little moments where he's just saying something a little peculiar. So I'm going to skip over a chapter, but basically the theme is every adventure he goes on, every group of people he meets, there's like a death in the community, and basically Link has to kind of take on the role of responsibility for that hero who died, so that he can save the entire world from the moon. So everyone's coping in death with different ways, like death of a loved one, death of a beloved uncle, death of an artist. I'm just going to show you this because this is kind of weird. I'm Mizaku of the Zora. I'm a guitarist of the Indiegogos. Indiegogos? What a coincidence! And then here lies a guitar hero. what? Is this all a coincidence? Is Alex Jones right? Right? Did the Lizard people write this just to tease me? But it's all like just great, really. It's dealing with death, but it's really child friendly. Fun adventure stories. Like he goes and he fights some like sexy female pirates, and he gets a new power in every chapter. The Indiegogos are the best. Yes, Indiegogos are the best. I'm all over the place today. All right, so one of the they couldn't fit in everything, but one of the neat things from the game is like there's this love story of husband and wife to be, and Majora punishes the husband by turning him into a little kid, and he's ashamed of himself, right? He doesn't want his future wife to see him shamed and reduced to a little kid. And in the video game, if you like go hunting around, you can kind of see how they're reunited, like right at the last moment before they die, I think. You can go hunting for little details and secrets like that. So Akira Himekawa had to change things up a bit to take it out of a video game context into a novel-style context, but they say the important thing is coping with death, coping with loss, coping with shame, and hope in spite of that, and then they change the details as needed to reinforce that. I thought it was kind of interesting that there seemed to be like modern skyscrapers in Zelda's world. It's such a weird, interesting world, and you just don't find out everything about it. There's also this discussion of the four worlds. I don't remember if this is just exclusive to the manga or if the game talks about this as well. But in addition to like all the crazy timelines and all the crazy alternate universes, a lot of Zelda games deal with like the other worlds that you can enter into. The Shadow world, the Twilight realm. I haven't played A Link Between Worlds, but that obviously has a two-world motif to it. Termina is an alternate world to Hyrule with some parallels. So I don't know what the four worlds are in this context. I'm sure Hyrule and Termina are two of the four worlds, but what are the other two, right? It's interesting when you don't know all of this stuff. It makes the world feel more mysterious and immersive. Nice little pencil sketch of the Skull Kid, jumping ahead. What else did I want to touch on? I like the Fierce Deity. Okay. I want to read this because this is really interesting. So they're obviously just like basically working off of demos and like some like pre-release material sent to them from Nintendo. So they obviously don't have all the answers. From the author, this standalone story that starts on the following page is an original tale that was published with the second half of Majora's first chapter. The series launched at almost the same time as the game release, so that meant that we couldn't, at the start, we couldn't reference the actual gameplay. We had seen the opening demo and the intro images, but that wasn't enough to fill up all the pages. After pondering the problem for a while, we decided to write an original story, something symbolic, like a myth, would fit in well, but not need to match the game's specific details. So we took the overall impressions we got from Majora's Mask and put them into story form in a grand way. This story is completely separate from the main one, but we hope you enjoy it just as much. Akira Himekawa, February 1st, 2001. We couldn't work them into the story no matter how hard we tried, so we're putting them here. Cremia and Romani. Tragedy! They couldn't fit them in, but you know what? That's part of one of the reasons I love the Twilight Princess manga so much, is they're basically getting to fit in the entire experience of the game by stretching it out to multiple volumes. So, I love their fan fiction. Even when their work feels a little fan fiction-esque, like it doesn't quite fit with the video games, they have such a good sense of storytelling and they have such a good sense of the characters that you really could accept this as a real building block, I think, for Zelda's mythos and Zelda's characters. I like almost all the innovations they come up with for their manga world. Jumping ahead. I don't care that it's canon, pretty much. Something doesn't have to be canon for me to care about it. Like, they know the motifs, they know the character types, so when they have to come up with their own hero, they make him feel Link-esque while giving him his own distinct flair. When they come up with kind of like a origin story for Majora, they come up with a really interesting Zelda monster creature that kind of fits with the tone of their overall world. It still fits with the tone of coping with death. So, dope. I love Majora's Mask. You should get it. You should buy multiple copies of these for young readers. When I talk about A Link to the Past, who is a completely different Link than the Majora's Mask Link editors, that'll be fun because there are actually two manga adaptations of A Link to the Past. So I'm probably going to reread or just rewatch my video on the old manga adaptation of A Link to the Past, and then I'll and it'll be my first time rereading the Akira Himekawa one in a while. So I'll probably get to have some fun. Like, how did they do it differently? What did they do different than the original author? I've got to go. I've really got to rebuy that. I gave away way too many comics. All right, that's it. Number one Marmaduke fan. The legendary edition of The Legend of Zelda. Great buy. I'm happy I got it. I'll catch y'all later.